Hi, everybody. Welcome to Teachers Help Teachers. I'm your host, Esther Yun, and with me is my wonderful guest. She's so gracious to carve out this time in her busy schedule as a mother of two and a full-time teacher. Here is Kristen Diehl joining us. Yay, Kristen!
Yay, thanks,
Applause,
Esther. Thanks
applause,
for
applause.
inviting me. Thanks for starting this Help Teachers thing in this time of need and craziness and just really realizing that we need to be there for each other to help each other out. And so that's exactly why I'm here, because I saw on a friend's website, Kathy Yanamura, hopefully she doesn't mind saying her name. She's a blogger she calls herself, or her blog, Tried and True Teaching Tools. And she shared this on her Facebook page, and I went ahead and said, well, she said she was going to do it with her kids, and I thought, oh my gosh, what a great idea. And I decided I was going to do the same thing. So
Great.
this is not her website. She came across it. I'm not really sure whose website it is. And I think they actually compile people, authors who create these digital escape rooms. And so I think there's a whole bunch of different credit to give here.
Yeah,
So it is not
before we
mine at
jump
all.
into that, before we jump into that, I just want to properly introduce you to our audience. Kristen Diehl, she's a teacher of 13 years. The last 4 or 5 years, she's taught third grade, and she's very experienced with using Google Classroom. She's been using it with her third graders for those many years, and so she does more than ever, I would safely assume, on Google Class with her students.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these uh, projects that she started with her third graders quite recently and had success with is virtual escape rooms. And she did the Alice in Wonderland edition, and she's here to share with us more about this exciting new project that we can start with our students right away. So, Kristen, tell us more about Kathy and how you came about. How did you come across virtual escape room? How did that happen?
Well, I was just on Facebook, just chilling, looking at my phone, and I saw that Kathy Yanamura, my friend, at another school that I worked at, had posted this site, this mamateaches.com. And it's not her website, but she shared this through her blog, Tried and True Teaching Tools. And she's just a fabulous teacher, and I always get ideas from her. And so I thought, if she's going to try it, this must be a wonderful idea. So I went ahead. I actually didn't get a chance to talk to her about how it went for her kids, but I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just try it on my own. It seems like something fun. And so I started to look at it on my own and thought that this could be something my kids could be capable of, even though some of the material was something they never saw before. Some of the material was really basic, but I thought, you know what, kids just need to have fun and just escape themselves from their living room or their desks or wherever they're working at and just have some fun. And that's exactly what happened today. I don't know where you want me to go from here, if you want me to.
Yeah, so tell us, so we know how you came across it, but now tell us more about it. What is a virtual escape room?
So basically, virtual escape rooms, it looks like they're using Google Forms to create these virtual escape rooms. And so they'll come up with a theme, and there's all different kinds of themes. I don't know if you can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Of like here's Dog Man, here's Dr. Seuss, here's Escape the Fairy Tale. I happened to go across one that was Alice in Wonderland because I liked the way it was set up. It was easy to follow along. Some of these other ones I'm still trying to get the hang of. And so it's basically, they give you a scenario and a situation so the kids can go ahead and read what's happening, to get an idea of what their task is and what they need to do. And then they'll go through and answer questions that'll bring them to the next slide or the next question. So here's the title of it, Escape from Wonderland Digital Escape Room. And it kind of explains, I don't want to read all this right here, but it's basically explaining the credit who created this Alice in Wonderland and give credit to Disney and all of that. So this part we kind of skipped, but if we go in to this page, it gives us the scenario. So it kind of starts off with the beginning of Alice in Wonderland, saying how she's sitting in the tree, or sitting under a tree, or in the tree actually, in her backyard, and she sees a white rabbit run through, and she decides to go after him. And so I had the kids just kind of take some turns reading this out loud.
Oh, okay.
And then once they were finished, I would go to the next one. So, oh, and I should mention I had, do you want me to mention that now, of how I had different breakout rooms, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you find it appropriate, sure.
Yeah.
And
So
if I have more follow-up questions about breakout rooms, I'll ask.
yeah. So what I decided, because I wanted the kids to have more of a chance to speak up and read and answer the questions without having so many kids say the answer at once, is I was able to be joined by 2 colleagues, an RSP and special ed teacher at my school. So they
Wow.
came in and joined my Zoom, and I made them hosts. And then I put them in charge of a breakout room. So I had 3 breakout rooms. So each teacher was in one breakout room, and each teacher would share their screen. So the kids did not need this link to be able to complete this project. And I was saying before, I almost didn't want to share this resource yet, because I want to do it again with the kids without them doing this ahead of time, because it
Sure.
was a really fun way to Zoom with the kids and different from anything we've done before. So if that's something the listeners can do, maybe team up with another teacher and do it twice, or invite, if you have a TA at that
Yeah,
time,
right.
her be in charge of one of the Zoom rooms. And it's completely possible to do this without any help as well. I just found that was beneficial, and if you can do it, fantastic. My tip would probably be to have the kids on mute, and then tell them to get pieces of paper and hold it up to the camera. To show their answers, write their answers down, because as we go through this, you'll see that they have to answer certain questions to be able to go to the next page. Although I guess holding up the answer also shows the other kids the answer, but well.
But you know what? That's something that they might need, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so,
That's fine.
and I would give a little bit of think time before I'd say, hold up your
Right.
answer. And so that way, at least all the kids are given a chance to think and challenge themselves.
Good.
So, anyway, so this first page kind of sets up the story, and when going through this website, not all the digital escape rooms are like this. So I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. Some are more like a crack the code kind of a thing. And I don't know, maybe some other people can go out there and figure it out and tell me.
Sure.
Figured it out yet. So, it kind of just goes on and makes the story more of a, it really tries to paint the picture of what's happening. And so, here it's saying that the strange rabbit runs down the hole. And then my colleagues and I were almost going to skip this video here, because it was about a minute. It was over a minute. And we thought, oh, do they really need to do it? And then my friend brought up the fact, she's like, well, some kids really need a visual to understand what's going on. And I thought that was an excellent point. So I don't think I'll play this clip right now, but the kids had fun watching it. And then, as I was saying before, as she's falling down the hole, the kids were starting to act it out and pantomime itself. And they really just kind of had fun, really being, getting into this room and pretending that they were actually Alice falling down this rabbit hole. So I thought.
So you would highly recommend showing
the video. It kind of seems like silly, but they had fun. They really liked it. And maybe even, because I didn't think of that idea of act it out. I just saw one of my students do it, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Awesome.
That they were actually trying to pretend that they were falling and being Alice. So, we go through, she falls to the bottom of a rabbit hole, and then I kind of got into it there, seeing my kids saying like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are there any broken bones? Is everyone all right? Oh my gosh, let's compose ourselves. And so just kind of getting them amped up and excited. And so then I would continue. I'd go, okay, let's find more about, what's going on. And so I kept on calling on different kids to read. I probably had about 7 kids in my room. So then it would, I would help kind of guide them in the task. I'd say, okay, guys, so it sounds like, we need to find out about Roman numerals. And the kids were getting kind of excited at this point too, saying, "Oh, I've seen those, and I can make those. I can make that connection. I have a clock like that in my house, or I've seen that wherever before, maybe grandma's house, where anywhere else." So I played this video. It was a little
Kristen,
long.
Kristen, I have
Mhm.
a question about the font size of these paragraphs, because we've seen 2 slides of them now. Is there a way to enlarge that text,
That
or
Not on my screen, I think, but if you go up to your Zoom, and
uh-huh,
I don't think I can see it on my end, but there should be something where you can make the screen bigger yourself as a viewer.
got it. And is
I
that what you did when you asked the students to read it?
You know what? I didn't, because I completely forgot. I remember practicing it with my colleagues, and I think they made it bigger because I was the host both times. So I can't, at least I couldn't figure it out myself,
But they didn't
making
have
it
a
bigger.
problem reading.
You know what? They did okay with this small screen, and if they
Okay,
skipped something, I would take my cursor and
got
just kind
it.
of go like this to
Perfect.
help them find their place.
Perfect.
But that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot to do that with my students. That I
Okay.
think as a host, I don't think you can make your screen bigger. I could be completely wrong on that, because I am brand new to Zoom. But I'm pretty sure as a viewer, they can see it a little bit bigger. They can blow it up, I
Good.
think. So, but they ended up doing okay. I know it wasn't great for their eyes, but so I would only have them read a little bit at a time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that was a good question. And I don't know if I'm playing around with that, if I can find more. So I showed them what their task was first to
Wow.
see the clock, so that that's when they made the connection. And then I went back and played the video. And as I was saying, it was a little long. I was looking at their screens, and they started to tune out a little bit. So maybe up to you. You might, just because they have this great little grid here that says what the Roman numerals are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your personal choice. One problem I ran into, though, and this again kind of goes back to the sharing the screen, is here would be the clock, but here's the answers. So I'd have to kind of like go like this
Ah,
and show, they wouldn't be able to see it completely, or I'd tell them,
that's
hey,
enough.
write down 6:30, write down 7:45, write down 8:10, write down 9:10. Okay, those are your choices. Now look at the clock. And
Uh-huh.
I'd give them about a minute and say, okay, hold up your answers. And I'd say, okay, the consensus seems to be, what time is this? 8:10.
Uh-huh.
So I would choose that. And I was going to, and no one actually ended up getting it wrong, or the majority was never wrong. Because if you do get it wrong, it says, oh, no, you got to go back. And uh, it'll say, it actually, I think it lets you through even if you're wrong, because that happened on the last slide that I swear it was correct, and it marked me wrong. But it
Mm-hmm.
let us through anyway. So it does this again a couple of times. So again, this one was difficult because they couldn't see the time while I'm displaying the answers. So maybe just have them jot it down real quick, their options down real quick, and then they can go back and show the clock. Um, oops. Let's
That's
see, what time is
great.
that? 11:06. So this is the last one, and they started to recognize, and that's when I would take a teaching moment and go, well, guys, what's at the top of the clock? 12. All right, so then this must be 11. This must be 10. Well, that narrows it down. 10:20. So it was a nice
Oh,
review of clocks, because that's something that we did at the beginning of third grade.
mm-hmm.
Um, so here again is this really basic skill, but and it was difficult again with sharing the screen. So I had the kids write down think about, okay, it's going to either be tulips or morning glories, daisies, and then they had to choose which one was in order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't remember I don't remember the numbers. I'm going to just go ahead and put what
Sure.
I think it was,
Sure.
just in the interest of saving time. And I think it let me ahead. I think it let me go ahead even if I was wrong. Um, let's see. I don't really remember which one it was. I think it was this one, but
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, let's see through even if I'm not correct. So keeps on going through these different scenarios, saying now, okay, your normal size. Now you come across the Cheshire Cat. And so it really kind of goes through all the stuff that's happening in Alice in Wonderland and painting that picture.
Yeah.
So it's just good kind of reading comprehension. Well, you can make it into reading comprehension if you want, but just good reading practice. Here it sets another situation up where they have to solve a riddle. This one they really struggled with. A woman was born in 1918, but she just celebrated her 25th birthday in 2020. Explained how this is possible using just 2 words. And so they were like, one of them said, time travel. And I was like, oh, that's a good guess, but no. I let them think for a little bit and they said, okay. I gave them a hint. I'm like, we celebrated, we had one this year. Yeah. And they didn't really help them. We had it in February. Started to kind of think, not February 28th. That's usually the last year. And then that's when they're like, oh, February 29th. And then I was like, and what's that called? And they got leap year.
Sure.
And so they thought that was really funny and made that connection again to experiencing it.
So Kristen, you took us through some of the scenarios of Alice in Wonderland, and you showed us, what they would have to answer, the types of questions they would have to answer to move on through this adventure. Having done this with your students, what are some benefits that you and you did touch upon it, but what are some benefits of doing this project, virtual escape room?
Well, I liked it just to kind of hear them read out loud and practice their fluency. First of all, test their comprehension maybe. I didn't do a whole lot of that today with my kids, and thinking back on this, doing this right now, I might say, okay, so what is it actually asking us to do? Since it was my first time, that might be something I do again, even though before I said we were kind of competing against the other rooms, but maybe to make that not even an option, so that you can make sure the kids are taking their time and thinking. And so I liked that idea. It shows some critical thinking. Roman numerals was something that my kids, I'd never mentioned to them before. It's not a 3rd grade standard, but they liked being able to make that personal connection to their prior knowledge and just learn about it, and then make the connection of what they know about a clock. And we're able to figure it out with the Roman numerals, even though they had never seen that before. One idea that we were starting to kind of run out of time, but they didn't know what morning glories were. So I might say, oh, well, that's something we have to research and look it up, use your resources. Who's around? Maybe you could ask someone, like if they can't, because I'm sharing my screen full, they would have to go to, they would have to make their screen exit full screen if you wanted them to research and look up a daffodil. I didn't have them do that today, but if I were to do this again, that might be something I might do and say, okay, well, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to tell you which one is a morning glory. Look it up. Which one, and I know that's not, super important information, knowing flower types, but it's that skill of, you don't know something, figure it out, look it up. And so I just found that to be just really kind of cool. And I was, can't remember if this was in our conversation on the phone or right now, but it was just like, they didn't even really realize they were learning, and they were just playing a game. And so it was just really fun. And then socializing as well, seeing each other's faces, and just, not doing a math lesson, not just, there's learning involved, but a completely different platform. So I thought they really enjoyed that. So it took quite a while for to go through it, just because it was our first time. I would estimate anywhere. It was maybe about an hour, but that's because we were struggling starting the breakout rooms when kids were joining Zoom late. So kind of going off topic there.
Can you elaborate on some of the problems that you encountered while doing virtual escape room, especially with the latecomers, and how would you address that next time?
So what I had problems with this time is that I had kids coming in kind of late. I even noticed some of my regulars were not coming in at the usual time, and they were always my early ones. And so I was trying to set out these break rooms, and there is an option on Zoom, if it's not an issue, to just have it do it automatically, and that's really easy. But I wanted to have specific kids in specific rooms with the specific teachers that were helping me out. And so when a kid would come up into the Zoom room, or into the Zoom, not the Zoom room yet, they wouldn't be on my list to put them into a Zoom room. And so I don't know that on Zoom yet, how to assign a kid who comes in late. I don't know if they just get placed automatically. It didn't appear that was the case, and that I didn't want them left in the main Zoom room by themselves. And so that's what I was struggling with. Like I would have it all perfect, and then here would come student B logging in. I'm like, well, where do I put them?
Right.
So I might say, put on my Google Classroom. You got to be in, guys, by 9:10. We're starting with or without you. And I hate to do that, but I couldn't figure it out, or I might spend some time researching that issue on Zoom. I'm sure there's a way that you can add them in. I didn't know how to do that at the time.
But for now, you're going to set up an appointed time.
I think so, and say you have to be logged in, because I'll say we're Zooming at 9, but they kind of struggle in, and it's usually not a major issue. But for something like this, when we're going to breakout rooms, I'm still trying to figure out. And then one student, she because a little pop-up message should come up that says join breakout room once you break them out. Or once you say, okay, start breakout rooms. And she was just kind of hanging there. I'm like, go to your room, go to your room. And so it was just me and her for a second. We're not supposed to have that. So that was the only thing. And her screen was freezing. Then so I typed in the chat, and it looks like what she did, I think what happened is she logged off. And then I think she logged back in and was automatically in a room. So I don't know if Zoom just remembered that, because my friends and my teacher friends and I were texting each other, because you can use chat in Zoom, but not private to your Zoom room. So that's one thing that I haven't figured out if Zoom allows. It didn't seem like there would be separate chat boxes for each room. I think it's still just the whole group chat. And so I didn't want answers being given away on that. And so it was helpful to have a phone nearby to text and say, okay, we're about to start. Since we were competing against each other, we wanted to make sure we all started the escape room at the same time and communicated any problems we were having. And so they texted me, oh, this student is back, this student is back. So that was helpful, and just knowing how it was going. So
it sounds to me, just to wrap everything up now, it sounds to me that this is a great team building activity. It's a great project to do that has benefits of reading comprehension, thinking critically, problem solving, and it's fun, and I could see how the students will want to keep that appointment next time, because there's already this built-in buy-in. And so, Kristen, it sounds to me you're going to try this again next time, right?
Yeah, well, I haven't decided exactly when. I might try and spread it out. I don't want to spoil them too much, especially since I'm not quite sure, because some of these Zoom rooms look great, and they're this format that I was showing you, and some of them are this crack the code thing, and I was working on it. It seems like it wouldn't be, those ones are cool. They'd be much shorter though. There's some reading comprehension, and there's definitely critical thinking, because I obviously I need to figure it out first. I think once I figure out how to do it, the content is actually not that hard. It's just there's not directions on some of them how to do it. So I don't know if I'll do it like next week. I it might be something I spread out as like a treat for them to deal until I can start figuring out some of these other great resources to use with everyone. But it's definitely something I would do more than once.
Yeah,
so,
and
a couple of times.
And I think Kristen mentioned it before, a little teacher tip. Yeah, try the rooms for yourself before you invite your entire class.
Definitely. And so I recommend this Alice in Wonderland one, at least for second, third graders, even fourth graders would, really any grade would have fun with it. First, for this one might be a little difficult for first grade. I know there are some other ones on there, so go explore, figure it out. I personally really love these ones where it's a whole scenario and story, because they can really get into it and imagine being Alice. So I'm just having fun.
So thank you, Kristen Diehl. Yay!
Thank you, Esther.
So much for sharing this wonderful resource for projects. And next webcast, I do want to share and bring in more guest teachers to talk about other projects, possible projects that you can do with your students that are theme related, unit related, PBL, what have you. So I can't wait to share that with you teachers, and I hope you you find this virtual escape room to be something that you're highly interested in and willing to try and helpful to you. So thank you again, and we'll see you
Mhm.
next time on Teachers Help Teachers.
Bye.
Bye.